annoying.
Okay.
Okay, hey, that looks good. Are we muted there? Good. And let's go ahead and start. Now I think we are live. Okay, I think we're going live now. So
All right. We're live. If not, then we're zombies.
yeah, the undead. I look like I'm in an undead location.
I know you got the right
just
thing in the background there.
yeah,
Hello.
just an FYI for anyone who is joining in with us. We are testing a new system here. This is a full Nextcloud build, so we're doing this entire podcast entirely on free and open source software. One of the things I'm noting right out of the gate is my bandwidth keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down, and that's possibly one of the limitations we have in Nextcloud, is that there's no way we can control the bandwidth being used by the camera systems. It's one of those things that people are like, maybe we should fix that. So we don't have any control over that. So I'm actually streaming on an HD. What camera are you on?
I got the Logitech. I have two cameras. This is the old simple 720p, but it seems okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
I mean, how's it look?
Yeah, it looks fine.
I got the one that you use. I have it here in storage somewhere, but this was handy now. So, but it's good enough for this. Yeah.
Also in the comments,
it's not full screen, so.
Yeah. Also in the comments, let us know how the audios are. I should be able to adjust each of us separately, but I think we're pretty well matched right now. So, let me know.
Okay.
So, and today we're going to be talking Linux for newbies, and Total OS today is on the field. So, greetings. And how can we find you again?
Greetings to all. You can find me on YouTube, of course, usually 99% of the time. Total OS Today is the channel, or TOS Today. Sometimes I'll upload the shows on archive.org. We were just talking about podcasts. You can just search Total OS Today, TOS Today, and I'm there. But usually here. And then, like last night, I did a live show. I finished transcoding that into an MP3, and I will upload that to our show to the archive.org. But I'm usually here, so
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And did you push the record button for this one too?
I did not.
Ooh, why don't you push the record button?
I did not. No. Maybe I should, huh? Anyway, but I think we're okay.
All right, yeah.
I'll just get it off your channel, and
Yeah, we might really need the record button on this one. Maybe I should record this too. I don't know if I want that much stuff going on in the background though. I don't know.
All right.
So
you know what? Hang on. I can use if it'll work. I can use the audio recorder just to see. But see, I've had issues with audio recording in Linux.
Let's not worry about it. I think we're good, and I'm pretty sure my channel will pick it up.
Yeah.
So if not, then we'll lose a classic. We'll lose the gem and those few people that are on right now.
We'll lose a classic.
Yeah, we got 15
Maverick
folks
says,
on
Tom,
right
your
now.
audio is slightly lower than mine. Tom, check your audio. Maverick LSC.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, actually,
mine,
technically mine's a little higher, but I'm going to lower yours down a little bit. How's that?
Oh.
All right, let's see how that is. Okay,
Testing,
say
1,
something.
2.
Okay, now we're about pretty matched.
We are the Borg. You will be assimilated into Windows 10.
Assimilated. All right. Is this about Noah's Flood? Yes, this will be about Noah's Flood. And let me know if you get seasick. I can throw on some like Skulls and Fire or something on the background too if we want halfway through. I don't know. Well, think about it. Mitchell, how's Phoenix doing today, sir? Very good. Keegan, welcome back. And let's see. Tom has been very busy at work. Really busy at work on the road, just saying hi. All right. Well, hey, man, gotta get out there and do your thing. Now Tom is high. Now I'm higher. Really? I'm not.
Hey, don't blame me. Tom is trying something new on
how's that?
On Unstable Cloud.
Unstable Cloud. Hey man, this is completely Google-free replacement for Dropbox, Google Docs, Skype, teleconferencing, chat rooms,
So you gotta
music player, streaming music. Come on, man. This is all free open source system, and I can sync all my phone's contacts and calendars without Google. I love it. So we are Google-free on this system. Yeah,
DT Derek from DistroTube. I commented a joke on one of his things on Arch that he replies, "Toss you and your stable distros." Oh, excuse me for being stable.
Yeah.
You know, I prefer unstable roads, unstable girlfriends, unstable. You know, it's you know, it's more fun
That
that
keeps
way.
life interesting, especially those unstable girlfriends. They
I
just
guess.
keep life crazy.
Yeah,
But
really. Yeah, right.
yeah, very good. So Linux
Video is a little choppy, Brian. Okay. Okay.
videos, yeah.
Is it
Now,
watchable?
is it the video or what I'm noticing in my feedback system is the? I think that this video I'm loading on the background doesn't have a perfect loop, but let me know. Yeah, I'm curious to see, is it passable? Is it good? Is it like, hey, we'll suffer a little bit with the quality to have free open source Google free stuff? Um,
Mhm.
is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, that's a discussion point.
If
It's a
it's really,
discussion
really
point.
bad, just tell us and we'll go into plan B if it's really, really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But hopefully this will work. It looks good on my end, but who knows once you go live. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Some
All right.
delay from
Sounds
both
good.
streams, and yeah, and I'm wondering if it's the Nextcloud thing because I can't meter the bandwidth. I can't tell the Nextcloud to go back and forth which
Ah,
bandwidth to go.
okay.
So hopefully they're working on that,
Okay.
or maybe I can
Again, it's
get
an
in there and
experiment,
link it.
so
Yeah, all right. And
yeah.
that's
Okay.
what that's what Linux for Newbies is. It's an experiment, you know. So I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know.
Totally.
So Linux,
Again, if you guys have questions in the chat or comments, yeah, just let us know.
absolutely sounds good. So what do you think? What's your take on Linux for
Okay.
Newbies? What do you think?
Okay. This is something I've spoken about before. Actually, that's what my entire premise of my channel was built on, starting 8 years ago. To be brief, Linux in general, if we talk about Linux as a whole, you know, GPS, tablets, refrigerators, cars, the space station, Linux in general is not easy if we're talking about the whole Linux universe. I mean, there's a lot to learn and a lot to talk about. For the purpose of this, I think what Switch and I are trying to do is we're not going to talk about Linux on the space station or in cars. We're going to talk about Linux on the desktops as an OS. So we're going to take something that's difficult to comprehend in the beginning, possibly hard, and make it easier. And that's why we're calling this Linux for Newbies. We're talking Linux on the desktop, okay? Linux distributions, Linux distros. Like go to Distro Watch or whatever, seen a review on my channel or Tom's channel. So when we say Linux, we're not talking about the whole universe of Linux, which is, servers and the list goes on and on. We're talking strictly Linux-based operating systems, such as Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Fedora, and so on. So that's what we mean by Linux OSs for newbies versus the whole Linux universe. Um, I use right now. I use Ubuntu Mate. I used to distro hop. Started in '06 with my first love in Linux. My first date in Linux was with Ubuntu 6 dot something. And since then, I went on to Linux Mint, Zorin. I mean, in between distro hopping, I had a stack of bootable disks. It was ridiculous. But it took a few years, but I finally settled, I think 2011, 2012, I settled to it. It was different, a learning curve, but not that bad. Not as hard as, say, Arch or maybe GNOME or something like that, or, Gentoo or Slackware. So that was my favorite one up until Ubuntu Mate came along. And I was running Ubuntu before Mate. I was running Ubuntu up to 16.04. I believe that was the last LTS with GNOME 2 or
Unity.
with the
Yeah.
Unity desktop. There were GNOME 2 before Unity. But then Ubuntu Mate came along a little bit faster. I like the 7-panel, 7 choice for customization. I think it's brilliant. So I went from Ubuntu Unity, which worked great for me on multiple machines. I tested on 2 full install machines and it was awesome. But I was thinking really, but for newbies, now, let's clarify something. What is a newbie versus a beginner?
Hmm.
In my opinion, a newbie is this. Hey, Johnny, have you tried Linux? His response, that's a newbie.
Where's the dice?
A beginner is, if we move up a notch, hey, Johnny, have you tried? Do you know what Linux is? Well, I've heard of something called Ubuntu. I downloaded it, I got it right, but I'm not sure how it works. That's a beginner versus a new. A newbie is, I think I've heard of Linux, but a little bit, that's a newbie. So we know what we mean between newbies and beginners. Now going back to what I was saying. So I wanted to pick something for newbies slash beginners. Which one would be easier? Ubuntu Mate with the old GNOME 2 look, or Ubuntu with Unity, or now Ubuntu with GNOME? From what I saw, and I'm trying to put myself in the mind of a newbie, which is hard now, many years later, I chose the Mate desktop. I found it to be not only faster, if you're trying to, salvage an older machine that had XP or Vista or whatever, you can run Mate with as little as a gig of RAM. I prefer 2, but you could do 1 gig. Unity, you needed 2 gigs. With GNOME, you need 4 gigs in my test to run it somewhat comfortably.
Yeah.
So when I say Linux for newbies, someone, who's just starting off, guy says or girl says, where do I start? For me, I would say eliminate what you've heard about the rest, that Linux is everywhere for now, and focus on a distribution, a choice, an operating system such as, in my case, Ubuntu Mate. Tom likes Linux Mint, and that's okay too. Zorin looks nice, and there's a few others, Linux Mint, and the list goes on. So Linux for newbies, we're talking Linux-based operating systems for newbies, and not the entire Linux universe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would just add to that is ask what type of environment somebody's comfortable in. And I actually enjoyed the honesty of the comment on Lunduke's Linux Thursday. Somebody asked the question, if somebody's just switching over, as much as those guys do really like GNOME, and I think Hartley really likes KDE, so even though KDE is his favorite, I would still go with something more traditional like a Cinnamon or a Mate or something else, because it's comfortable for a new user. If they're the average new user, we don't want to be radically different, and that's the unfortunate issue with GNOME.
It can be. Look, I was once a newbie. You was once a newbie. Nobody's born, like an Einstein off the bat. Obviously, we learn by what we see and what we're taught. But 10 years ago, or at least back in 06, there wasn't a lot of stuff, tutorials. In fact, YouTube came into existence, 05 and 06 somewhere? I think it was 05. So
somewhere around there.
And when I started in 2010, there wasn't a lot of good quality neutral, I stress the word neutral, Linux stuff on YouTube. There just wasn't there, and I was frustrated. So I thought to myself, instead of complaining, just do something. Learn, make the mistakes as I go. And it was more or less a hobby. I wasn't expecting to be here 8+ years later. But that being said, I was a newbie. In 2010, I was a step above a newbie, and I learned from mistakes. So you who are starting off as a newbie, hopefully will get the lowdown and a neutral look for my channel, Tom's channel, Switch to Linux. We call it as we see it, okay? And one of the nicest comments I got is, I like your channel because you see things in a neutral way. At least I try to. If something doesn't work in Linux, or quote, it sucks, I'll say it. If something I don't like in Windows, such as the privacy thing, and it sucks, I'll say it. But I don't join one camp 100% or necessarily another camp 100%. There's good and bad in everything. Life is about balance, yin and yang.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that being said, if you're starting off as a newbie, if it was 10 years ago, I'd say you probably got a rough time, even with our knowledge combined. However, nowadays, some Linux distros, not all, have gone a lot better to install. There's automatic partitioning. You don't have to mess with custom partition. I know some of you are going, what? Custom partitioning? Blah, blah, blah. But nowadays, especially with Ubuntu based, you know what I mean? You don't have to, I need swap space. I need this. I need a home folder. You don't have to do that. In fact, over 90% when I install stuff, I generally use automatic partitioning. Lately, I've been using custom partition since I know what I'm doing, and that's not that difficult. But 10 years ago, you really had to custom partition your drive first, hoping that you didn't mess up your Windows, drive, and then start from there.
Yeah.
But nowadays, even without our help, I think it's a lot easier. I'm not going to say Linux is easy in general, especially if you're new. I mean, like nothing is starting off new, I suppose, but it's gotten much easier. Where I don't think nowadays you don't need a lot of hand-holding for me or Switch to Linux or somebody else on YouTube to get to know what you're doing. And we'll talk about that some more. There's different ways to try Linux: USB stick, bootable, VirtualBox, spare machine, and so on. But nowadays, as of this recording, April 20, much easier to choose a better Linux. Linux is easier, if not necessarily easy, and you have a lot of good quality channels on YouTube, not just ours, but this is a great time for YouTube for content consumers. It's the perfect time. Not as good for creators because we've seen our videos demonetized, budgets shrink, and it's a lot more challenging for us. And but for content consumers, I think it's perfect, you know. So there are choices for you in terms of learning Linux or anything, learning how to cook on YouTube or whatever.
Tasty.
But Linux for newbies today is a lot easier, a lot easier. And
Absolutely.
don't talk about food because it seems like when I go a stream, when I start a stream, it always gravitates towards food, and everybody starts complaining.
We'll go food at the end. We'll go food at the end. All right. All right.
We'll go ahead, yeah, right.
So let's
I
just
know
catch
Tom.
up.
Tom likes to cook, so
Yeah, I do cook, and I'm probably gonna cook up a nasty pizza tonight. That's gonna be amazing. All right, so there's 35
Oh,
folks
here we
on.
go.
So just in case you're new, we are testing a
Cool.
new conferencing system. This is entirely run on free and open source Nextcloud build. So that's what we're running this on. So if it is a little jolty back and forth, we're going to be looking at this later and seeing if it's something we want to keep doing in the future. You know, is it worth running full free and open source software? So I don't know. There's a question that came up. Which would you say is more reliable for compatibility with devices and versatility of functions, Ubuntu Mate or Linux Mint Cinnamon? And that's
Wow.
a hard question because you're a Mate guy and I'm a Cinnamon guy. So of course
Okay.
I'm going to
Let
say
me
it's
answer that
Cinnamon.
briefly. Right. No, no. Look, and I've tried cinnamons. That's fine. Okay. Let me. And I'm not trying to be funny. Linux is Linux on a desktop, not the whole Linux universe, not servers or Linux is predictably unpredictable. Sometimes a marriage between a specific distro and what you have may not work. How do you know what's going to work? Well, you won't know until you try. Now, I know
Yep.
that's not the best answer for a new. I'm just trying to be neutral and honest.
Correct.
The
Hardware
one
has
nice
a
thing
lot.
about Windows or Mac, it's going to work out of the box. If it doesn't, you take it back and get a refund. I mean, if you buy a machine or a Linux machine, not just Mac and Windows, but if you buy a Linux machine like a Dell or what's it called, the Mint Box or Lenovo, if it has Linux pre-installed, if there's issues, you take it back.
Yep.
Because if you want bugs, you can just download bugs. You're not paying for bugs. But in terms of the question, which is you don't know until you try. But that being said, try Linux Mint Cinnamon. I like Ubuntu Mate. You may find that all the ones you try work. You may find that all the ones you try, this works in this works in that. And that's one of the negatives today about Linux in general.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a lot better.
I
Lot,
found
miles ahead better.
Yeah, I found a few software packages that don't work as well in Mint as they do in other places, like Skype, for example. Skype doesn't really work well in
Yeah.
Mint. I mean, it does an okay job at times, but the newer versions of Skype, they'll kind of go a little shaky. I have issues playing DVDs in Kodi in Linux Mint, but I don't
Okay.
have that in other issues in other places. So it's kind of
Okay.
there's some things hit and miss, and like I've said before, as I'm ripping CDs, I find that Linux Mint Cinnamon does rip CDs better than Ubuntu. I found Ubuntu sometimes doesn't get there, but then Ubuntu has some advantages over Mint. So sometimes it boils down to your application and what you're doing, and just testing it and trying it really.
Try if you have a spare machine, that's the only way to tell, in my opinion. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get, I was talking to Alan Pope from Ubuntu last week. He's a Snap developer advisor, a Snap developer advocate advisor. He bought a ThinkPad for like 60 euros. That only had 2 gigs of RAM, but you can install RAM cheaply. But if you want to mess with that, buy yourself a spare machine, like a refurbished machine. $200 should be enough, 250 tops. Just make sure it has 4 gigs of RAM. That should allow you to test, I think, just about any Linux out there. I would think with 4 gigs. Dual core is fine. You do a full install. That is the only way to test. Now, it could be, say you buy a ThinkPad that's refurbished and you install Cinnamon. It works great. You decide to do a dual boot with your main machine with Windows and Linux Mint doesn't work good. That could happen. Linux is a relationship. Boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's got, I would say it works most of the time than not. But it is not 100%.
Yep. And
That's
it
my
and
neutral thing
maybe
about it. Yeah.
maybe another thing, I mean, it sounds scary to say this, but another thing, if you want something that probably works really, really well out of the box for a machine that's not going to be portable, use something like Sabayan, Gentoo installer that you don't have to compile. Because the thing that makes Windows work so well and Mac work so well is the software is specifically installed to the hardware, and that's what Gentoo is. But that's why it takes so long to install. But if you get an installer like Sabayan, and there's a few other ones out there. It's like Red Core, I think, is also a Gentoo installer. Those will actually install just what you need for the system, and they actually work very well. The problem is you lose the portability. But that may or may not matter. For me, it matters. For most people, it probably doesn't. I want to jump on something else, though, just for anybody who might be watching this thinking, well, how do I get started? I have a few points I want to mention, and then we'll see if you have anything to add on that. The first thing I would say, if you want to get started on Linux, the very first thing you should do is look around at the applications, the workflow you need to accomplish, what things you need to accomplish your computer. Look for the free and open source cross-platform applications that can do those, and install them on your existing Windows or Mac computer and learn how to use them. So if you need Office, see if LibreOffice will be the replacement. If you need Photoshop, see if GIMP or Krita will be a replacement. Look for those type of applications, install them alongside, and spend some time learning them. I didn't jump into Linux 100%. So I'm switching to Linux and I'm going to wipe my whole Windows computer and just use Linux. I don't do that. I still do development on Windows because I have a Windows 7 computer that works. But the day that thing dies, I have its replacement already in place running Linux Mint Cinnamon. I'm probably not going to move the computer. I'm going to set the other one upon the corpse of the old, swap over the dock, and keep going. Because I'm spending the time, I'm not hurting my workflow on the one hand, but I'm spending the time to learn the workflow on the new one simultaneously. So learn what software packages you can use. That's going to make your transition way easier. Because what is the operating system? All it is just how to load applications. That's nothing.
Yeah.
The applications are the core thing you need. So anything you want to add to that?
For myself, okay. I mean, you're right. If you're a beginner / newbie, whatever, right? If all the software that you need in Windows works in Linux, and for me now it does, and that's saying a lot. Great. Right now, Windows is my backup OS, whereas before it was the opposite. If like Tom was saying, if there are specific apps you use, like for example, let's take like a media player, like a VLC. Well, that's cross-platform. That's going to work in Linux. In fact, I've yet to have tried distro, but that didn't work. The number one thing that continues in general, that being said to be a problem in Linux in general, multimedia application in general, as a whole, may or may not work for you. I still have a problem with an audio recorder, a simple audio recorder that I cannot get to work on my machines. There's like choppiness and buffers and this. And I could use OBS. I could have used that to record this as the audio only, sort of. I would save the whole thing and then transcode it to an MP3 file. But the audio recorder that I use, called audio recorder, for me doesn't work. You would think it would in 2018. But again, we talked about sometimes the marriage between the distro and the hardware may not quite mesh.
Something
putting the multimedia.
See what codecs? Because this is an interesting question, because I bought a stack of DVDs from Goodwill the other day, and I just wanted to sit here and play DVDs. I'm still running my my Ubuntu Budgie computer over here. Pop a DVD in, won't play. And it turned out it was just I needed to get online and install different codecs. So for whatever reason, Ubuntu, the new 1804 Ubuntu, just isn't playing well with media for me on this computer. So I just installed different codecs and it works fine. I'm wondering if that's an issue. I don't know. Could be.
I mean, what's the one? What's the one command I install Ubuntu restricted extras? I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Is that one still around to install the codecs?
I don't remember. It might be. That might have been. I don't know what I've installed. I would have to go back and look. But whatever I did,
I think
it works
I have
now.
everything. I mean, okay. I mean, I can check. But I
Yeah.
mean, everything else plays fine. My music, videos, transcode and Kden Live, everything. I use Curlew Meteor transcoder to go from video to MP. Everything works, but for the audio recording feature in multiple machines, I always have. But anyway, my point was multimedia apps in general. I'm talking about the whole multimedia galaxy of apps in general in Linux is not quite up to par. It's getting not quite, say, in Windows and definitely not on Mac. Mac seems to control the multimedia universe. That's why a lot of professional YouTubers, YouTubers with millions of subs and they make buku money, they only use Mac from what I've seen, usually. Not all of them. It's got to be a reason. And I guess I think it's called Final Draft, works pretty good, for editing on the Mac. My friend Stephanie Forian, who's an independent singer-songwriter, she tried using Windows. Couldn't use it. She went back to Mac, and she doesn't have time to learn something with Linux. I get it. Use what works. Even if you are a newbie or advanced, use what works. For some people, it's possible that if you are a professional singer or whatever, Linux yet, multimedia specifically, may not be up to par yet. And I understand. I'm just being honest. For us, what we do here, Linux is good enough. I don't have to use Windows to do what we're doing now. I have it as a backup, just like if I want to record audio, I could use OBS.
Yeah.
Or I could just go back to Windows and use the audio recorder. But I don't mind doing the little bit extra steps in Linux to record audio using OBS, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's only drawback still in this day and age. So
absolutely. We have a hypothetical from William Nellis. Hypothetically, what would you guys do if Linux ceased to exist? Is there an option?
God. As much as I hate it, I would only use Windows 10. Windows 10. I don't know if Mac are less invasive, since I don't have one. Tom, what do you think? Are they less invasive?
Yeah, Mac is definitely.
I know virus, right? Okay, I would probably go to Mac.
Yeah,
I'll
Mac
bite
is
the
less
bullet,
invasive.
and if I want a little more privacy, okay, then I would probably go to Mac. I hate to say that, but if Linux was gone, if it faded, or
there's one toggle switch in the control panel in Mac that says "Don't collect anything." Done.
And that does work.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually sat there and stared at my router logs, seeing what devices are sending more information, and hands down, the Mac sends very little information.
Well, there you go. So. There's my Tom's answer is my answer. Then
yeah. So, and that's the thing. Here's the funny thing for me: I don't even know how to do any of this stuff on Windows or Mac. Everything I do, recording video, recording audio, editing audio. I mean, the applications exist. Pretty much all the applications I use are cross-platform, but I've never even tried.
Yeah. Well, Mac, I don't have one. I've been to the Mac store several times. I've seen demos. It's not that hard. Yeah. In fact, it looks more professional on the Mac. I hate to say that, but what we do right now. Okay.
It's a personal.
Yeah, I like click and go. I like click and go. So, terminals. I've joked. My favorite terminal is the Orlando International Airport. So yeah.
Yeah, just avoid Omaha.
Fair enough. I would have no reason to go there. But,
Merry Melodies. I'm on Linux
somebody
Mint.
mentioned BSD.
Yeah, I'm on Linux Mint Cinnamon, but people don't like Linux Mint. I don't think. Yeah, some people don't. A lot of it's because I don't know why. It's like it doesn't take a geek to run, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with saying you should use the terminal. You should not use the terminal. It's unfair. Look, if I'm say this is back in 06, where I was a newbie, and somebody said, if you really want to learn Linux as in, you have to use the terminal commands. I would have said, are you feeling okay? You want the name of my doctor? It's not fair, because if you give someone the wrong distro, like Gentoo or Arch, to a newbie, and there's nothing wrong with them if you're advanced, and then they try it, they can't do it, what is that he or she going to say? Man, Linux sucks. That's an unfair answer. But I don't blame that person for saying it, because they took the wrong train. It's like taking the train to go to Alaska when you want to go to Florida. You're on the wrong track.
Yeah.
Now, once you get more advanced, I use a terminal sometimes, and I'm cool with it now. But not in '06, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. So George asks, what is Linux Mint Cinnamon? Linux Mint Cinnamon, it is a distro that they really, really, really focus on compatibility. And the reason some people don't like it as much is because they don't have a ton of quibbles about putting a few closed source applications here and there just to make sure things work. And that is to a purist who wants zero to do with anything that's not perfectly, perfectly open source. Well, the reason they do that is so that more stuff works out of the box. It's what gives you a better experience. And honestly, though, even a lot of that, they're simply available without extra craziness. They're not always installed by default. It's just available without extra craziness. And so I use Linux Mint Cinnamon because it has the Windows-like workflow, which is what I like the most.
Yeah.
I like that workflow better than anything. And I've used a lot of workflows. I just like the workflow, and it's set up exactly like that. And it's very easy to use, and it's completely compatible with everything I want to do. So that's Linux Mint Cinnamon. You can get more information at their website. Just type in Linux Mint on an internet search, and you'll find it.
If I was having issues with Ubuntu Mate like you, I probably would have went back to. I mean, I have Linux Mint on my other machine. I probably would have went back to Linux Mint because I got so comfortable with those. You've got what, Cinnamon? I like Mate, but Cinnamon is okay.
Yep.
I just got lucky with Mate, or I don't know how else to explain it. I've been to the Ubuntu Mate forum, super friendly, I've spoken to the lead developer one time, Martin Wimpress, super nice family guy. I'm going to have him again on the show next month. I hope, Marty, I'm going to hold you to your word. You might be available next month, Martin Wimpress. But yeah, if it wasn't for Mate, I would have gone back to Linux Mint because I've had so much luck with Mate. I like the 7-panel changer. Gives you a little more customization option without tweaking into the terminal or anything like that, But if it wasn't for this, I would use what Tom was using, But if you are a newbie / beginner, look, you have, let's see, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, and I'll even recommend Ubuntu with GNOME if you have 4 gigs of RAM. But Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Zorin, Ubuntu Mate, LXLE,
It looks like Alex is a Manjaro guy just based on the logo there, and Manjaro is a cool distro too. I mean, it's an Arch based, but when I ran that, I don't have any issue. I don't think a newbie would have many issues with Manjaro either, and that's pretty cool.
I tried it a couple of summers ago, and I ran into issues. I had to stop, and I have a lot of patience, but I had to stop.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Maybe it's better now, just to be
Yeah.
again neutral. But back then, I lost patience. I'm sorry, Manjaro team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Check out Joe Collins.
I knew I was in trouble where
No, go ahead.
I couldn't play music CDs off the bat in Manjaro, and I was made fun of. And I said, that's not the point. Can you imagine if you got Windows 10 and it didn't play music CDs? What would people say? I'm sure it was just a mistake,
Yeah, that's playing. Well, of course they'll play
but
music
I
CDs.
still
This
kept
is
it.
2018. Who plays music CDs?
Granted, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah. So
Joe Manjaro is rubbish. I don't think it's rubbish. It just didn't work out for me. Yeah. So
yeah.
Zorin 12 looks like Windows 7. Yeah, I still recommend Zorin 12 Lite. I recommend Zorin Lite, not the GNOME side of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that one's XFCE, isn't it? GNOME Lite, or is it LXDE?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for newbies that might be a little bit easier. Yeah. Rowan the Dolphin is in town, is on the chat. He's had enough trouble with big, large commercial rolling OS. Windows 10, by the way, doesn't play DVDs out of the box. So it doesn't play DVDs out of the box? Windows 10, really? Okay.
No. Windows. I think it was
DVD.
Windows 8. They pulled DVD codecs out of Windows.
Oh.
So you and the
But
theory
you
is,
can
of
still play them
course.
if you want. You could
Well,
download.
yeah. I mean, you can purchase from the Windows Store, of course, and a little extra dollars. You can purchase a media player. However, most people are going to go to the box store, buy a big box store. If you buy an HP, you buy a Dell from Best Buy. That's going to have Dells or HPs. DVD player on it. So usually, like if you're buying a big, a box store computer, it probably will have the software, but no native
Okay.
Windows in version 8, I believe, is when they took DVD
Okay.
codecs out.
Okay. I wonder if you install like VLC, will that work? Does it
That
have all the codecs in
should.
VLC or
VLC
not?
should have the
I was
codecs.
gonna say, okay.
Only thing that made me question
Okay.
that
All
is
right.
even on Fedora, you'd have to install something else to get the codecs to work even with VLC. I think
Oh,
that's fixed
okay.
now. That was, I mean, that was old school Fedora.
Okay.
I think that's better now.
Colin says K-Lite codecs. I do remember K-Lite codecs. Yes. Okay. All right. So it can be remedied. It's just not out of the box. But that's unfriendly actually. Yeah. But okay. All
Lucid
right.
theming. What do you think about dual booting with 2 separate hard drives? So that is also very relevant to a newbie because you might want to be able to go back. I mean, I'm not an advocate of saying I'm going to switch to Linux, wipe out your old computer, and then just go straight to
Yeah.
that. I'm not an advocate of that. You want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have redundancies.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
and
have
let,
only
let me
dual
clarify.
booted.
Let me clarify his question again. Dual booting with 2
Yeah.
separate hard drives, 1 OS per drive is what he says specifically.
I have right. I haven't. I've always dual booted on the same hard drive. I I've had in all the years I've been doing it since '06. I think 2 issues. One was Windows' fault. One was Linux's fault. The one with Linux was I did an update or something, and I couldn't boot into Windows. So, or I couldn't boot. Yeah, something like that. On the Windows side, I did a major update, and I couldn't boot into anything. It had a flashing cursor, which I fixed. That being said, dual booting, for the most part for me in general, has been safe if you pick dual boot friendly distros like Ubuntu has the automatic install with no custom partitioning. Usually works. But that being said, if you want to be safer, a spare machine is a spare machine is probably the best way to
Yeah.
go. If you want to try without install, I like a USB stick or VirtualBox if you have enough RAM. But 2 separate drives, you do that. Haven't you done that, Tom, with 2
Yeah,
separate drives?
that's generally the way I do it. I only have one computer that will dual boot on the same drive, and that's because it's a laptop with an integrated, an integrated hard drive. So
Okay.
that's my preferred way. On
Okay.
any other computer, multiple OSs, one OS per drive because it's too easy for
Okay.
an update to mess up the install files, and
Yes.
Windows doesn't care for Linux doesn't care for Windows, and so we don't want
Right.
a two-headed
Right.
dragon in the middle of my machine. So that's usually what I do. And then what I do
Okay.
is you can either set the computer to default to go to the Linux because Grub will be able to find your Linux and your Windows boots. I usually just use the boot menu on the computer, and F12, F11, or F9 is the
So
boot
you're just
menu.
you go into the BIOS, right? I'm assuming, and then you just choose, right?
Well,
Okay.
you don't have to go into the BIOS if your computer has a boot menu. So the boot menu will just load up a screen. It says, here's all the devices. Pick you one
Got
to
it.
boot from. So that's my preferred way
Got
of
it.
doing it.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
each hard drive
Okay.
contains one
Okay,
OS.
fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, right. Okay. I have not done it, but I can see where that could be an advantage. Of course, right now I have several spare machines to test, and that's the best. That truly is the best way to really get the feel, for Linux. Like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money. $200. Make sure it's refurbished with some kind of a warranty on, just in case. I like ThinkPads. I've had good luck with them, but you can buy what you want. Stay within that price range. 4 gigs of RAM. You can test anything out there. So yeah.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Hi, Spin Viking. How are you? He said hi to the kitty.
Yeah.
All right.
OpenSUSE has had the most dual boot disasters. I wouldn't know. Yeah, musical Neptunian, I guess. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had an OpenSUSE.
I can't speak
install.
for it because I don't use it. Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it when I had it, but it died. Like it stopped being able to update. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm done with it. So, Lamber Linux Elementary OS
right.
is actually good. I'm gonna ban that guy. No kidding.
It looks good. I have to admit, it looks pretty. It looks nice.
Yeah.
I hope we're not scaring
No.
away any really new, real newbies
No,
here.
no. I mean, if elementary works for you, use it. I mean, especially if you come from a Mac ecosystem, you might be more comfortable in elementary than anything else. And and in reality, it works well on like 50% or more hardware. It just doesn't work well on anything I tried.
Yes.
And a lot of different
Yeah.
processors and operating systems and actual hardware I tried it on.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this is a lot of information if you are truly new to all this. I guess what we can say is I use Ubuntu Mate, Tom has Linux Mint. Try one of those or try them both.
Hmm.
We can vouch for those too. They're
Also,
not
Peppermint.
perfect, but yeah.
Peppermint, especially for a lower end
Mm-hmm.
computer, also supports 32 and 64-bit
Yes.
processors. MX Linux,
Yeah.
I think Joe's still on MX Linux. That's a rockin' distro as well. I enjoyed that one.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I have
Um,
tried that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, I haven't
Um,
tried it fully yet. I plan on doing it soon. The new Fedora actually looks very easy. I'm shocked, but the new Fedora
okay.
looks pretty easy.
Okay.
I'll have a full
Fair
report after I get a
enough.
chance to play with
Yeah.
it. But there's some things I need to compile on an operating
One
system. I
thing we
need to do
should
on
mention.
Ubuntu first.
Yeah.
Good.
One thing we should mention is be aware of alphas and betas if you are a newbie that may not know, although lately they've been really good. You will
Hmm.
probably have some kind of a problem. Again, if you install on the spare machine, that's all you install. It's not that big of an issue. But be aware if you didn't. Alphas, betas, testing, that's what it means. Testing, it's not finalized. You will have problems. Usually, not always. Just to let you know. But if it says LTS on it, you're safe, usually as far as Ubuntu base is concerned. Debian stable, that's another one to try out maybe. But anything that says alpha, beta, be aware it may crash. Again, in a spare machine it won't matter. But I would not install alphas or betas on a dual boot on one drive. I would not do that. So
Yeah, I'm such a
how's
nerd.
the multimedia codecs on
Yeah, good.
Fedora? I don't know.
The
Alex,
new
yeah,
the new
I
beta,
don't know.
the latest beta that I tested actually worked seemingly well. I did not try DVDs, but it played music out of the box, and
Okay.
for Fedora, that's a huge step in the right direction. That's the biggest thing. Like,
Okay.
I had a
All
friend
right, if
that
it works.
is his dad's a Linux system administrator, and so he's got Linux, always had Linux
Okay.
on a spare computer. He's like trying to get this thing to work. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, stop trying to get it to work with Fedora. This is like a long half a decade ago. So Fedora. I mean, you couldn't even get multimedia to work well on Ubuntu, let alone Fedora. So I'm like, dude, just stop trying on Fedora.
Well, sometimes I'll get the occasional comment, dude, why are you still using Linux or Linux sucks? And then they leave. I'm like, well, what exactly sucks in Linux? What?
Yeah.
One general broad statement to me is not going to, if you say, well, I tried gaming that isn't up to par, multimedia, that's fair. But it might be more true to say sometimes it sucks, maybe not all the time.
Yeah, it depends. If you're a
Well,
hardcore
Windows
gamer,
sucks is the most horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Broad generalized statements where something sucks isn't good enough anymore in my book. But if you are specific, then I understand your reasoning behind that, one sentence statement. We've talked about Windows 10. The core technology is fine. The OS is beautiful. It's the politics that I don't particularly care for. But we talk about the core OS. It works beautifully. At least for me, it has a multiple machine. So gaming
Yeah.
is wonderful on it.
I had to. So, I'm putting together the podcast feeds for my Christian podcasts, right? And
Yeah.
to put it on, of course, iTunes, which is the #1 place for podcasts, you have to have an Apple ID that has been logged into either an Apple device or a
Yeah.
or
It's a bit
iTunes.
much. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I get out one of my
Yeah.
computers and I boot up Windows 10 in a virtual box, and there's the disk and the memory and everything 100% spinning out. I'm like, really, Windows? What are you doing? And it's like, so anyway, after about an hour, I got iTunes installed. I activated my stupid Apple ID and connected to that account. Rolled the machine back so there's no connection back to it. Close the virtual box. Boom, Apple ID. So, But the problem is just
I
like
know it's
Windows. Why are you spinning the disk at 100%? Why? Like in the OneDrive installer kept on showing up, taking 100% of the processor use. It's like, dude, I don't want to use OneDrive.
well,
Go away.
I think the last great Windows OS was Windows 7. There
Yep.
was less politics involved, a little bit simpler. Even though I like Windows 10, not the politics, it was better. I'll just be honest,
Yeah.
it just seemed better, but you know, yeah.
Yeah. I was
And you can
never.
still
I've
use
never
Windows 7
even.
up to 2020, I do believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
never even impressed
Uh,
by Windows 10 though. Personally, I mean, it wasn't horrible. It's just, I mean, I thought the app like, okay, you need to understand though. I customize my start menus so that I don't have this
mhm,
horrible. I mean, I've had
mhm.
all these horror stories of going back and fixing people's computers. Like the thing's running slow.
Yeah,
I go over, click the start menu, and
yeah,
this giant list
yeah,
takes up the whole screen. I'm like, oh god. And
yeah,
so my start menus have always been very short, very concise. I like to customize
yeah,
that. And with Windows 10, if you've ever had a Windows phone,
yeah.
the start menu outside the live tiles on Windows 10 is exactly the same thing you got in the Windows phone. And it was fine on the Windows phone, but this is an operating system, for crying out loud. Give me more granular
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, Microsoft has made some boneheaded. I remember when I first tested Windows 8 to download, I thought, wow, this is what I want to see. Back then, I said, Microsoft, I think this is great. You're outside of your zone and you're trying something new, different. I thought it was great. All you need is a start menu in Windows 8. You got a winner. They didn't take my advice. They released Windows 8. It bombed. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Just stick a freaking start menu in it. It's not. They didn't. Now they did it quote in Windows 10, as it were, which is Windows 10 is what Windows 8 should have been. But I'm like, Microsoft, you're not listening. Put a start. You got a winner. They didn't do it. I remember
Mm.
one video. Someone's dad was trying Windows 8. So he videoed his dad. His dad's like, he's got the glasses on with the bifocals. He's doing this. He's looking for the start button. After 10 minutes, he says, "What's this called, son?" Oh, are they trying to move me to Mac? That was his answer, you know. But
Yeah.
of course, now they got a start menu. Gee, what a concept! It's stupid. Yeah. Anyway, this is not. Now I need the fire thing, to go on fire here, But
Yeah.
um, I use Windows 10. I still do. It works. I've gotten used to it. I don't like the telemetry. But for gaming, I use it sometimes. I'm comfortable with it. But now Linux has gotten so good for me that Windows 10 is my backup OS.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way, but it works.
Yeah. Daniel says
You could
DVD.
buy Start is back for Win 8. Okay.
Yeah, DVD and Blu-ray DRM is always changing. Had to buy a new Blu-ray player because new Blu-rays were not supported. Really? Oh Lord. Can we
Hmm.
just agree whatever comes after
Okay.
Blu-ray, we're just gonna ignore collectively? I mean, I'm ignoring everything after DVD.
I guess.
I don't. I mean,
Sneaky Linux in the house. Hi, Sneaky.
great
Yeah.
sneaky. How's it going there? I
Uh,
think I think you're more on top of the comments than I am. I think I'm reading old comments.
yeah, there were some other. If you have questions that we haven't answered, why don't we just take a short break? I mean, we'll still stay on the stream. Go ahead and post your questions in between us talking. We'll try to answer
Um,
some of the
okay,
questions.
here's actually this is a good one. Mary
Uh,
Melodies fan. Does anyone use a DNS server with their
mhm.
Linux distro? I have my main office at 1.1.1.1 with a host file to block all the stuff I don't like. So I threw it on this computer for testing, and should I ever need to actually get on to Facebook's website, I would actually need to install that locally on my system in order to get there because it would bypass my host file. But yeah, I mean, I'm running
Mm.
1.1.1.1 right now, and I've been doing it for about a
Okay.
week, and it
Okay.
runs great. I mean, I
Okay.
haven't had any problems.
Okay.
I mean, I don't notice that's like it's this much faster. I haven't noticed any speed. I'm just happy with anything that bypasses Comcast even a little bit.
Whatever works. I got a question here. Does anybody here prefer Ubuntu with GNOME over Ubuntu with what Unity was? Just out of curiosity, or do you don't like either?
Mm.
Um, I preferred Unity, I'll be honest, but I think Gnome's getting better. It's stable. I've been testing it at my Toshiba dual core 4 gig. It still feels slow, and I mentioned that to Alan Poe. He said, "Fair enough, but it's it takes time to get things polished and stuff. It is getting better, and it's stable. The beta of Ubuntu right now really is awesome. So I mean, how can I not recommend a stable OS? It's not fair. Doesn't mean you'll like it, but anything that's stable, give it a shot. Yeah, sure. Musical Neptunian. I guess they use Unity on Neptune. I didn't know that. A musical
Of course
Neptunian.
they do.
Okay.
Um,
Of course they do. But Chad likes Mate. All right. Okay. Unity
yeah.
100%. Okay. Yeah.
I definitely
was using
preferred
Unity
Unity.
until they decided to drop it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely preferred it.
You can still install the Unity desktop GNOME if you want to. But GNOME is growing on me. It's still not my preferred desktop. But another fun Linux laptop likes Unity. Okay, don't like a GNOME. Okay, all right.
It's the difference between chat and top chat. Live chat gives you everything. Top chat gives you what YouTube's algorithm thinks you want to see.
Yeah, sometimes I forget to switch, and that's annoying.
It's like,
I guess they're trying to
we've
filter
added a
out
new
the
thing.
bad. Yeah.
My biggest irritation is the comment, the live chat replay. I hate that thing. I want a global button to disable it.
I don't have a problem with that though. For some reason, I found out.
I can't control what people
watch
put
it.
in there, and there's sometimes people throw some bad stuff in there, and I'm not gonna go in there and necessarily call them out on a live show, but I prefer that live show's over. Let's make that disappear. So
right.
So
I don't know. That doesn't bother me right now, but yeah.
All right. So should we? Here's a good one.
I think YouTube.
Should we keep DVDs and DVD drives in our computers because it's physical digital media for the music audio cassettes are better because of the compression? Okay. It's because it's physical digital media, but for music audio cassettes are better because of compression. What? Okay.
Don't know about that one.
First, CDs have way better sound than cassettes, just by nature. And now there were right at the last final breath of cassettes, you did actually have the digital cassettes that did sound a little bit better, but even those weren't quite as good as the DVD or the CDs.
Yeah.
But with audio CDs, there's no legal issue if you have a legally obtained CD to rip those onto your computer and save digital files as long as you're not distributing them on the internet.
Yeah.
Zero problem.
Right.
DVDs is a slightly different case, unfortunately. With DVDs, most people would side with the argument saying that it would be illegal to rip them, even though the software exists, because it is encrypted. And the one part of DMCA says, you can't bypass encryption. There are actually a few websites I found that disagree with that interpretation and say as long as it's for your own personal use, you're okay. But the thing is that the CD thing has been tested in court. The DVD thing has not. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But
yeah, I bought a new boombox and it has a USB stick to play MP3s. I'll use that. It has a cassette, but I don't use a lot of cassettes. It's either going to be Bluetooth, has a built-in Bluetooth, which is handy. It's either going to be that, CDs, or my USB. My cassette thing is going to be last, although it has a built-in subwoofer, so it sounds great. But tapes, I'm afraid will get chewed up in the thing. I got to clean the heads. That's more maintenance in the long run,
Yeah.
With CDs, there's none. Well, I guess you can wipe off the CD if it's dirty, but there's not maintenance. Yeah.
I guess though we both completely missed the question. Should we keep DVDs and DVD drives in our computers? I have.
Yes.
Now
I think so.
Here's the funny thing, because of course I just rebuilt this computer, and the only thing that's the old computer in my new computer is the case. It's the only thing I didn't change. I would have definitely preferred to just change the case and keep the rest of the computer because the case is pretty cheap. But with that being said, I found that
Yeah.
most of the new cases don't even have a slot for them. And so I was talking that to a friend, and I'm like, how much do
Wow.
even I really use
Wow.
them? But here's
Yeah.
the thing, and he raises probably a very valid point. Just get an external one. You can nicely keep it out of the way because how much do you use it?
Yes.
And in reality,
Right.
while it's important
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's not something I do use on a regular basis. And this thing's got,
Yeah.
I don't know, several DVD, several USB ports. No problem plugging into a USB
Yeah.
port the times I need a
Right.
CD
Yeah.
or a DVD. So
On
who
the
knows?
desktop, I would prefer to have it. If I was going to buy a new
Correct.
laptop, maybe I don't need a disk drive on a new lap, maybe
Yep.
to keep it more
But
portable, as it were. But on the desktop,
down
I
the
would just
road,
rather have the convenience of built-in. So
maybe I'm done buying DVD drives
yeah,
though. Maybe
yeah,
I'm done with them, and the next DVD
yes.
drive I buy will be external. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. That's an
Hmm.
interesting thought. So yeah. So should we keep them? I don't
Daniel
know.
says yeah, new cars rarely come with a CD player. Really, Daniel?
Yeah, yeah. They're
I didn't
pretty
know
much
that.
all Bluetooth, and some of them you can get the audio
Wow.
connection, which I would
Yeah,
prefer. Like, I
yeah,
loved
yeah.
the
Right.
last car I had. It had an audio input, just a 3.5. Wow, that's big. 1 3/4 inch input, and I just ran a line right from that into the phone or MP3 player or whatever else.
Nice.
Worked
Okay.
awesome. Um, yeah, but no, they're giving you now
Isaiah
infotainment
says, do it like
systems.
the old ThinkPads had a DVD drive. That's right, Isaiah. Yeah. You could take out the DVD drive and put in the battery drive. Yes, that is true. My ThinkPads do that. I could take out the DVD to install a spare battery and give me double the time. Yeah.
I still have a
I don't know if the
Windows.
new ones do that, do they? I don't know.
No, no. I have a Windows 98 laptop. Isn't that awesome? It needs a new drive, which I think I should rebuild it with like a
Okay.
compact flash card or something. That'd be awesome. Should I get Windows
Yeah.
98 on my laptop?
Jeez. Gregory locked the USB port on your car. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen some cars have. I got one of the last Buick cars that is a CD and a tape player, and both
Nice.
still work. And believe it or not, that comes in handy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Uh,
Yeah, my
why
my
are Linux desktops more environments GT Qt based? I don't know, William. That's up to the developers. I would imagine. GTK versus Qt based. I don't know.
like what? Why are there more?
I've tried both apps. Yeah, why do most desktop environments on Linux use GTK versus Qt? GTK's been around longer, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
possibly. I
might
don't
be
know.
it might be easier to program in. I mean, it depends.
Yeah, because it's more common. It's yeah, possibly. Yeah.
You could buy Starters back for Windows 8.
Um, if there are any true newbies out there watching this, don't be shy. Stop by and say hello. And if you have a question, put it in the chat. We'll try to answer it for you. I mean, that's what this particular Life of Linux is
Yeah.
for.
Is there
Number, this is
anything
our
else we
number
want to
7
cover
that we've
for
done.
Linux
Yeah.
for newbies? I mean, we pretty much covered,
I think
test open
pretty
source.
much.
Test out if you have
Don't
the
get
power.
overwhelmed
Yeah,
starting off. Yeah. If
yeah.
you have a spare machine, okay, let's recap. If you have a spare machine, that is still the number one best way. If you got the budget, buy a spare machine. I like ThinkPads. Tell me about how about, but ThinkPads are good for me as far as a
Hmm.
laptop. 200 bucks, 250 tops. 4 gigs of RAM, you'd be fine. If you don't want to do that, USB bootable stick to make one, that's easy. Virtual machine, if you have lots of RAM, that's great. I like dual booting. That's not necessarily the best way, but it can be safe with the right distro, such as Ubuntu based with the automatic install. But always back up, no matter what you do. Back up and back up again first before you start messing them around on your main machine, just in case. You never know to blow out the hard drive, fry it, the motherboard. Now what are you going to do? So always back up first when trying something new. Other than that, I cannot think of anything else right now, but stick with the ones that are newbie friendly, like we mentioned: Zorin, Linux, Slide, Ubuntu, Mate, or other Mate desktop. Linux Mint Cinnamon, XFC is good too. Mate, Zorin, Peppermint. You have good choices, a lot more than you did 10 years ago. A lot more. Now, I say a lot, I don't mean hundreds of choices, but maybe 10 decent choices right now for newbies, where I couldn't say that 10 years ago. But a lot has changed. And you may find you may like Linux better than Windows. My number one reason why I use Linux now is not so much privacy, because once you get on the web, there is no privacy in general. But the speed of the updates is so much faster with Linux. It's less time consuming. You may find that to be advantageous. You know, you do the updates all in one clip in Linux, and you may have to reboot once. I stress once, and you're done. That's nice.
And it doesn't take, it's not a 38-minute
you don't
reboot.
have to wait hours. Yeah.
Chad has a great question regarding
with Windows 10, you just don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Chad V, would you recommend I get a new SSD for my laptop in order to dump Windows, or can I just delete the Win data and start over the same drive? All right, my recommendation in that case would be, if you got the money for a new hard drive, pick up a new hard drive. I wouldn't say it has to be an SSD, but that way you can take the old one out. It's perfectly safe. Play with Linux, and if you get into a problem, take that old drive out, or take the new drive out, put the old one back in, and you're right back to Windows again. I mean, that is the best world of everything. And that's kind of how I run my system here, because actually my IC dock is still dead from the old explosion fiasco. But when I get the new IC dock, that's exactly how I run my computers. I just hot swap the drives, pull the drives in and out. Now, the IC dock gives you a port on the front of your computer to swap the hard drives. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's an option. Keep in mind that if you're going to spend $200-300 for an extra hard drive, you might as well get a spare machine that has everything, complete. But that's just an option. So
yeah, I mean, hard drives are fairly cheap these days. So.
Linux,
and actually, though, let me tell you another thing. Another thing to do is that this computer I'm running behind me here, right there, that one there, which is running Ubuntu, that is running exclusively on an external hard drive. If you're going to go buy a hard drive anyway, and your objective is to learn Linux, just pick up a USB external hard drive. It will not run any different than an internal hard drive installed in your computer. You can run it. Now, the only warning is, during the installation process, I would pull out your Windows hard drive first, install it, because that way you don't get caught up as to where it's getting installed and all that fun stuff. And so that's kind of the case there. So pull it out. That way you only have to pull it out once. And then you want to go into the BIOS and just make sure that it's always going to automatically boot from the USB drive first. That way, if the USB drive is plugged in, you get Ubuntu. USB drive is unplugged, you get Windows. If it is Windows 10 computer, you're going to have to turn off Secure Boot to do that.
Yeah, I had to do that. I had to make it easier, disable fast boot, I think, to make it easier. There was one more thing I had to do. I forget what it is off the top of my head. I mean, there's a few extra steps involved. It's kind of annoying, but it can be done. You can dual boot with a UEFI, I call it goofy, interface or BIOS in Windows. But obviously with the older ThinkPads didn't have that. It was easier, but you can dual boot in Windows somewhat safely. But if you're not sure, just use a USB stick, or external drive, or external machine is still the best way. I prefer a laptop because you can just take it with you. Sometimes I'll bring my laptop in bed, do some updates on my Ubuntu beta. When I'm done, shut the laptop, put it underneath my bed, and I'm ready for bed. So, but that's my recommendation. If you can afford a spare machine, go that route.
Daniel Kovacs, is there a utility to back up a Linux hard drive? There is. Do you want to tackle that one?
The only backups I do, I've been asked about that. This is Toss's way of doing it. My way, I buy external hard drives and I back up files and folders, and that's it. That's all that I do. I know there's other ways that you can do it, Tom, if you want to answer that, but that's what I do. Keep it simple. And that I do the same thing in Windows. So,
you can run Time Machine for basic backups as well, and there's Time Machine and there's the backup tool. Of course, on Linux Mint, one of the downsides is you can't link that to a network attached drive. It has to be something mounted to the file system.
Yeah.
So, and there's ways around that too.
Yes.
But the way I'm
And there's a
interpreting,
tool in Mate called backups. It's called.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the way I'm interpreting the question is the whole
yeah.
hard drive. If you want to back up the entire hard drive, OS and everything, the best thing to do is Clonezilla will allow you to make a duplicate of the drive onto another drive. That's one of the best ways to do it. And I've actually used that.
And that's for Linux too, Tom?
Well, that everything.
Yeah.
That I mean, it will literally. It's a Linux distro. You run it on a live key. You plug it in, put it in the computer. You plug in both the drives you want to do, and then you. I mean, if your hard drive is failing, if you think your hard drive is failing, tomorrow, you want a new hard drive of equal or larger size. Download Clonezilla, run it in there, duplicate your old hard drive into the new hard drive. It will not behave any different. The only thing you might see is Windows might throw a small hissy fit because the serial number on the drive changed, but that shouldn't be a problem. I would hope. Since it's just a drive change, it shouldn't impact Windows 10, but who knows?
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I just do important files and folders, like the videos I upload. I back them up, music, pictures. You know, it's just easier for me. I don't feel the need to back up the whole thing. I just don't have to. If something's going bad, or so, I just, whatever videos, music, or intros that I need, I got them backed up. It crashes the crowd. I just reinstall something else. So, but that's how I do it. Yeah.
Backing up your folder with grsync, yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, sure.
Drive,
Yeah, I just picked up. Do I have it here? I just picked up a Toshiba. Where did I stick it at? It was like $47, a 1 terabyte external drive. I don't know where I stuck it at, but that's it's back here hiding. Comes in different colors. If I could show you this on the camera, but that's it. It comes in black and blue. This is 1 terabyte for $47, I think. A 1 terabyte, plug and play. It just pops up as a external drive, and you 3.0 USB. It's great.
And those, by the way, are exactly what I use to run Linux distros on. That'll run a Linux distro perfectly.
Yeah. Right.
So
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have the budget,
there are choices
for,
now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. I think I hit the bottom of the comments. How you doing there? Oh, wait, there we go. There's a bunch more coming in.
Okay. Good.
Ooh, you're installing Copperhead. Sad error. Awesome. Let me know how it goes. I'm going to be doing some Copperhead / Nextcloud videos. I'm planning. There's one possible hitch in my plan. As long as that hitch is passed, that little speed bump is passed, then what I'm going to be doing soon is testing out Copperhead OS with a full, complete Nextcloud to back everything up simultaneously. Basically, replacing everything Google would do with Nextcloud with a Copperhead OS phone. That's kind of on my radar of things across however many videos, X number of videos where X is an unknown variable at this point in time. Resurrection remix.
MX17 is okay.
All right. Well, I hit the bottom of the comments on my end. So should we talk about food now? I mean, I'm gonna make a pizza you can't refuse.
I have my pretzels ready to go. Ooh. My little nuggets, not my nuggets, haha. Kroger's sourdough nuggets.
Ooh. Oh,
I had to use my GPS to find these. Kroger's is remodeling Kroger's, thanks, but yeah.
So your phone has a GPS that you can tell it, go find me my pretzel bites.
Well, that's what I when my friends walk in, I see how they look on their faces, how I feel like, gee, the bread was here, now it's over there. It's driving me nuts. I know that. I think it'll look better once it's done. But now they're putting. Sorry, I got a nugget in my mouth. They're installing a Starbucks coffee, another one. It's like another coffee house. This is the last thing I want is another coffee house.
Well,
how about a pretzel house or
Well, all the grocery stores here in Pennsylvania are installing beer distributors. I don't know if this counts as a newbie question, but what
Well,
are the advantages of running your own DNS server on a Pi? Have you ever done that?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
I have not, but I run something very similar to that on my router because my router is custom built. Okay, so it is absolutely
Privacy?
advantageous because the biggest problem, like everyone's talking about the 1.1.1.1, but the 1.1.1.1 does not block advertising script. It doesn't block all that other stuff. The advantage of running a home
okay.
DNS server on a Pi is that you can custom block things. So if, for example, you have preteen children that you don't want to know Facebook exists, you can simply block Facebook on your home network globally. So, you know, and that's a good way to do it. Of course, there's two applications come to mind. One of those is Pi-hole, and the other is called NoTrack. And those are both home-based DNS servers. Basically, you run it through your Raspberry Pi, you reroute your router DNS servers to the Raspberry Pi ones, and then there are scripts that you can say, we're going to block these advertising networks, we're going to block these bad websites, we're going to block, you know, whatever else. We're going to also block these custom things. Put it all in there. Everything on your network is now blocked with respect to everything there. Absolutely. Especially if you got kids and you're looking for a way to block those bad websites, invest in a Raspberry Pi.
Nice.
Make a home DNS server. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Somebody mentioned LibreOffice. I use that sometimes. Yeah. Gregory Locke, you want to start blocking things globally. Good luck. The web can be a pretty nasty place sometimes, but it also can be for good also. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great. It's great running your own DNS server or your own block list somehow because, man, you got all the great things of the internet, but you can block a lot of stuff as well. And that's important.
Cool.
That's important because I use it to block the trackers. I use it to block the advertisers. I use it to block the session replay. I use it to block the bad stuff. Right. Mark, how's it going?
Yep. DuckDuckGo's okay. Yep. Start page isn't bad either.
Yep.
I think so wish I was CSS designer of YouTube right now.
Oh yeah, don't get
Isn't
me
that a
started,
show?
man.
Or that's CSI, yeah.
CSI. No, CSS.
CSI YouTube. That's a new show, yeah.
What does Microsoft Office have that LibreOffice doesn't? I don't know.
Off the top of my head, LibreOffice has a lot.
Yeah.
That Microsoft
In
offers.
fact, I mean,
there might be a few things
I
that
can start going through the things that I know LibreOffice has that Microsoft Office doesn't, such as built-in labels.
Okay, I guess it works both ways.
Yeah. So hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy this pack of labels. Well, I can boot up LibreOffice, go right into the main master file, go down and find labels, and create my own mailing labels without having to download anything, and agreeing to the privacy policy and terms and conditions and providing contact information to Avery. Huh? So, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, Rome was not built in a day, Mark. That is true. Yeah.
But it's burned in one.
I guess Linux is a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, everything is. I mean,
I'm waiting for Julius Caesar OS, but yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, we're doing this on Nextcloud. That's why if you jumped on later, you know, TOS is a little bit laggy at times. Hey, we're doing this entire recorded conference streamed to YouTube with open source software. And it's a work
let
in
us
progress.
know
There's
later. Send us an email. Yeah, if you don't like it, let us know. We'll try Plan B. Just again, this is the beauty about Linux or trying something different in general. If it doesn't work, that's fine.
I'll tell you the one issue I'm having a problem with on this is for whatever reason I'm not getting password protected rooms to work right. They're just not logging in right. It's kind of redirecting non-logged in users to some login link that shouldn't happen. But I can set up multiple rooms, so it's kind of cool. And I built my own little custom logo, which has the no circle around the Google logo, the Facebook logo, and the Windows logo. I'm not going to show it for copyright reasons, but it's my own private cloud. I can do whatever I want.
Did you see that Microsoft and others, Facebook, signed the cyber accord? I found
The,
that funny.
they did
They
what?
promised to prevent any entities or including the USA from snooping or trying to steal your data. Interesting. This look it up. The Cybersecurity Tech Accord. 38 companies signed it to protect us.
Oh,
Right.
very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I thought that that's what they were trying to do to begin with. It just turns out that hackers seem to be a little bit smarter than the third party contractors they hired to try and use the data.
It never ends. It's a cat and mouse game. I saw something. Was it on 60 Minutes on the PBS series Nova? Fantastic shows, by the way, and how the FBI down in Virginia, how they're stopping potential cyber attack. It was a 24/7 cycle. It's bad. That's World War III is on the web. It never ends. So
Yeah, pretty much.
you need to be safe out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
World of Linux. I've tried your host file. It's very good. But how does Linux Mint do things differently with the Ubuntu privacy, like how to block it and change updates? Linux Mint generally has always stood against the things that Ubuntu has done. I've not seen any official statements as to Linux Mint and the new Ubuntu collection stuff yet. I mean, I haven't looked for several weeks either. They might have released something, but Linux Mint has classically stood against them, and so I'm wondering if they'll probably do the same. And so what my thoughts are with this is that if even if Linux Mint doesn't go against it, there are three things you need to watch out for with Ubuntu. The first is that Linux Mint would have to use a different installer because the first level of data collection in Ubuntu is in the installer, and you just have to uncheck the box to send data to Ubuntu. The second is app port, and the third is Popcon, both of which Linux Mint has generally taken a stand against using. Popcon is an opt-in on Debian. It is an opt-out on Ubuntu. Actually, I can't comment exactly if it's an opt-out. I know it's installed by default, but it's turned off by default, at least in the betas. And app port is now installed and enabled by default without a prompt now, and that's... it shouldn't be, but
Okay.
it's not. It's nothing to stop using the OS over. If you have a
Okay.
problem with app port, uninstall it.
Yeah. 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 Um, yeah, I mean, in general, if we're talking privacy, Linux is the way to go. However, once you get on the web, in my opinion, all OS is just about equal. In my opinion, once you get on the web, I have to stress that. Obviously, Linux is less prone to viruses, but now we're talking more security than privacy. I don't really interchange those that much. I mean, though, it is a
Yeah.
brave new web world, and you need to be aware of suspicious websites, phishing email, no matter what you use, because they don't care about what OS you use. They're targeting more you than the OS, or trying to target you. I still get these emails from Uganda or whatever, Africa. Dear sir, there's $20 million waiting for you. You got it. I'm like, okay,
Dude,
all
that'll
right.
build out your office, man. You should do that.
My favorite email was, the ambassador or something, and it started off, "Dear sir, you should not read those other emails because they're all just trying to trick you out of your money." I said, really? So you're different.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
Right.
privacy is important. It was almost as bad as your call is important means don't give. Yeah, okay, yeah. There was an interview done with someone at the head of Cortana development, and he was asked about Facebook, and his reply was, "Oh, that's awful. Microsoft would never do that. Microsoft values your privacy." Values. They do take value
They do
because they
value your
use
privacy.
it.
It's very valuable. I mean,
That cracked me up. I'm sorry. I cannot defend them for that. That just like really, you know.
yeah,
Oh my God.
that's crazy. Yep.
Values. Yeah.
Mark,
How
I
do you
have-
define values your privacy? They take
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mark, I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't worry about it, man. Let's see. Yeah, T. When someone wants to protect you, get your hand on your wallet. No, T. They're gonna hold your wallet for you. It's okay. It's okay. They're just gonna hold your wallet for you.
Yeah, it's like the old mafia days. You need to pay for protection. Yes, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm watching you go. Oh, Lucas from Brazil.
Awesome. Welcome,
Hola,
Brazil.
Lucas. How are you? Yeah,
All right.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we're
Right.
officially
And what
completely off topic
Linux
at this
is used in
point, I think.
Brazil?
Yes.
That's okay. We're gonna. It's we
Yeah,
probably
we
should wrap this up
yeah,
too
we've
soon. It's
been an
almost. Why don't
hour
we
and
wrap this
18
up here
minutes.
at 10 o'clock or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So
make this the last call. Comments, jokes, whatever, food,
sounds
and we'll
sounds
just
good.
yeah,
Yeah. Is
wrap it up.
any
Cool, cool.
nonsense news? You got nonsense news today?
Off the top of my, you know what? I looked last time. There wasn't a lot, but let me take a quick look. See if there's ever anything. See, sometimes it's stuff that's unusual, not really funny. But let me take a quick look. I'm looking for the oddball funny stuff. Just cracks me up, and sometimes it's not there, but sometimes it is. But hang on one second, I'll take a look.
And you might be able to share your screen. And the way the screen sharing works on this is you have to select a window to share. You can't show just globally your whole screen for some reason. But if you want to try it,
I'll tell you
can.
what. Let me just shoot with the headlines, and then we'll let the people in chat rank these if they're funny or not. I'll just say the headline. Ready? Bus driver fired for watching TV behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's exciting.
You guys can, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
all
This is
I
in
can-
New
all I
York.
can say
Oh,
is
of course,
it's
New
anything
York.
good on.
Hey,
All right, good.
hey. Yeah, really. And there's a oh my God. There's a security cam behind him, focusing on his neck with the Bluetooth. He's looking at his TV screen on his cell phone or his screen. Anyway, that's not safe. Okay.
So was that an Uber self-driving
This
car?
is an oddball.
Go ahead.
No, he's actually has the wheel. Yeah, I don't know if he's at a red light but you're right. What? You're right. The lamer Linux. What about those Steve Jobs jeans? I'm still waiting to buy one. But it has
Yeah,
built-in Bluetooth.
yeah, that's hilarious.
Let's see. Okay. Let me find something that's really different if I can't. Give me a second here.
Wisconsin, our grocery stores have 5 refrigerators dedicated to cheese. Oh boy, we got a good one. All right, what do we got?
I like when hackers do their thing. I'm looking at highway sign, and usually it'll flash caution, construction. You know, there's delays, right? This is in the Washington State Department of Transportation. Said it was a training error. Officials apologize for "you suck" on electronic highway sign. So, can you imagine driving and see this "you suck"? Oh God.
That is almost as bad as
I see the highway sign. And
in 2016. I had to cross the country a few times. I'm shooting across country. This is right after Pokemon Go is released, and every state on those big digital billboards is like, the highway is no place to play Pokemon Go. Don't play Pokemon Go on your phone. I'm like, we have to be told not to play Pokemon Go while we're driving at 85 miles an hour down the highway. But it's like every state. And then think of the money.
You should
like
not be driving.
Those billboards. Yeah. If you think that playing Pokemon Go behind the wheel of your car is a good thing to do, please just go, sell your car, cut up your driver's license, and I don't know what to do from there. But, you know.
That's bad. That's bad. That's dangerous. Anyway, let me scroll down. Man collects second $1 million lottery prize this year. Oh man, I could use a new monitor, sir. How about if you'd make a little donation to my channel? Second prize? Now that's luck. I realize $1 million's not a lot these days, but hey, I could upgrade my channel, update my channel. All
There
right,
you go,
let's
yeah.
move along here. Let's go to the next page.
The coolest construction sign, I saw a picture of it. It's probably Photoshop, but it was at the end of a a road. You know, the road was closed. It said 404, road not found.
Okay.
Geek jokes.
Oh, here we go. A cat story. This happened
boy.
in Tennessee, Tom. Stray cat scares customer into jumping on a counter at a store. There's a camera shot of it, and this literally jumps on top of the counter, and the cat whizzes by. What a wimp!
It's just a cat. It's not it's a
jeez.
rat.
Here we go. I know. Here's this for Hawaii. Not too many Hawaii story. Knife wielding seal, monk seal caught on camera in Hawaii.
What?
Knife wielding seal.
What? A knife? I'm
Look it up.
having a hard time with this one. I'm having a hard time with this one.
There's a seal pup playing
huh?
with a knife, and he's wielding the sharp blade at the camera guy, like, "Hey man, you feed me or else."
Knife wielding seal
Anyway,
from 2 days ago in Hawaii. All right, let me see. Video evidence of a knife wield.
Yeah, look it up. Knife wield.
I see that.
That's a smart seal pup. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
What I'm not seeing is wait, hold on. There's a little video here. Come on. Where are you? I gotta see this knife. Oh, there he is. Go ahead. Oh, that's kind of cute. Yeah.
It's kind of weird, scary, weird. Yeah.
Let me hold on. Let me see if I can show everyone what the knife wielding seal looks like.
Okay, go ahead.
Here we are. Here's our knife wielding seal. Look at that. Here he is, knife wielding seal. Oh, he dropped it. There he is, knife wielding seal, right there. Back up a little bit.
Whoa, let me. All right, Tim. Thanks for stopping by. Good night. Yeah.
Knife wielding seal. All right.
All right. Let's see. Here, this is in Georgia. This is just some people, Tom. GameStop burglar tries to disguise face with clear plastic.
Well, at least the criminals are getting stupid enough that we can find them easy. That was kind of like the story. There was a guy, he goes in to rob a bank, right? And he writes the note on a deposit slip, like, give me all your money, and then he's looking around, he fears somebody sees him, so he leaves. He goes to the bank across the street, and the lady at the counter realizes he's probably not the sharpest cookie in the drawer, right? And so he slips the thing down, and she looks at him, and realizing who he was, says, "I'm sorry, this is for the bank across the street. We can't honor this." And he takes it and he goes back to the bank across the street. So they call the bank across the street, and of course he's waiting in line again, and before he even got there, the police picked him up. Yeah. At least the criminals keep our life interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see if there's one more maybe before we wrap this up.
Car loss in a pothole in Michigan.
This is Chinese. Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
Surgeons remove lighter from man's stomach after 20 years. That is weird. I just plain stuff. It's just weird. Okay. That gives a new meaning to the song "You Light Up My Life" or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a bump. Let's see here. Is there any more? Texas. Speaking about not being the sharpest cookie, Texas driver busted with cardboard license plate. He wrote his license plate number on a piece of cardboard, and
Was it the right license plate number?
Okay.
I mean.
It probably was, but I'm assuming you need an official with the sticker. Joe said, Joe said, did the lighter still work after 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
If it was built in Japan, it probably still does. If it was built by Toyota, absolutely.
I mean, that'd give you a bad case of gas, I'm sure. But I mean, I would guess. I would guess actually the metallic components should have eroded by then, but I don't know.
Yeah, Mark. He says, "How do you swallow a lighter?" I have no idea.
I have a friend who claims that he swallowed a fishing lure once, and he does claim he has X-rays to prove. Did I see those X-rays actually? I think I did. No, he did swallow a fishing lure. I did see those X-rays. I don't know. Some people are interested.
Okay. Wait a minute. I'm looking at some weird auto news. Let's see if we can wrap this up with some auto news. It's got to be something weird and funny too. Give me 1 second here. South Korea. Okay. South Korea urges GM union deal after auto workers ransack CEO's office. Employees taking out their frustration over missed bonus, and they are literally destroying the office. That's funny. Yeah. Take it out on the office when you don't hit your quota. I don't know on the CEO. So that'll get his attention, her attention, wherever it is. But yeah. Oh well.
Fishing lure would be small. No, this guy collected fishing lures. They were the big ones with multiple hooks.
Yeah.
Smoking. If I like smoking and use lighters, maybe I swallow the lighter and get the effects forever. Interesting. All right. Well, you want to go ahead and wrap this up?
This is a cool title.
Oh,
here.
good. One last one.
Yeah, one more. Cheetah. I guess this was in Africa. There was a tour thing in the car. Cheetah mistakes a Land Rover for a Jaguar. Ha ha. Okay, that's all I got. I thought it was a clever headline. I'll give that to the. Come on, I give 1 point to the blogger. That was a good one.
That was a good one. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it is 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for.
How do we find your channel? How do we find your T-shirts? How do we find all that fun stuff?
All right. We are still, just look up Total OS Today, TOS Today on this YouTube channel. You can go to teespring.com and search up Total OS Today t-shirts. Archive.org if you want to download some free MP3 files. Just search Total OS Today Live or Total OS Today, TOS Today. I should be around there somewhere. If you want to support the channel, my channel right now, all I use is PayPal right now. There's nothing to sign up for. It's safe, it's secure, it's worldwide. I've been using PayPal for years. It's one of the few monetary things online that I trust just about 100%. So you can do that. I think that's about it for me. And I may do a live show tomorrow. I took the Alan Pope Ubuntu interview, which was an hour, and condensed it sort of to about 16 minutes if you want the short of it. And I'm closing in on 2,000 videos on this channel.
Nice.
Yes, I'm calling my psychologist Monday. No, but
2,000 videos. Who knows?
Anyway, that's where you can find me. Yeah, 2,000. Believe it or not, of course, a lot of that was in the beginning with distro hopping and testing apps and live shows and Sunday Night News and Nonsense. That took up a lot of time. 2,000 videos, so it's like wow.
Yeah, I think,
anyway, that's how you can find
if it's any consolation, I am over 500. I might be pushing 600, and I've only been doing this for a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean they add up. They really add up. And if I was still distro hopping, I would have 4,000 videos now. Probably. Yeah, probably. At some point, I had to stop because it just wasn't too productive. It was just repeating myself, the same bugs, the same things. So I stopped.
Well, honestly, though.
But anyway,
that's
you can find me here on YouTube, and
So I have, of course, the YouTube link. There's you have an Amazon affiliates link too somewhere, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do. I was approved as an Amazon influencer.
I might have your link
I give recommendations
in the description
for
down
stuff
here.
I've tested.
Yeah. I think I might. If I don't,
I do.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Zandaris' toss is better than Tom. Yeah. All right. Delete that guy. No.
if I'm better at doing doing impressions, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, I'll do that.
No,
or somebody from Cuba, man.
Hey, we gotta vote. We gotta vote. Who's better at Arnold? You do Arnold, then I'll do Arnold. Okay. Go ahead, do Arnold.
It's good to be here on the show. It's fantastic using legs.
All right. I'll be back with a 9mm Uzi, and then we move 5-meter spread, no sound for the people. All right, who's got the better Arnold? All right, well, we're wrapping that up. You can find me, of course, I have the channel here. I have Amazon links, patreon.com/TomM. And you can get t-shirts like this one here, which is Sub to the Cat, the Human is Crazy. This t-shirt's over there, shop.switchtolinux.com. So you can check out that for there. So thanks for watching, and let's see. Oh, Lamer Linux says votes for TOS. All right, who's on my side here? Who's on my side? It's like 42 people watching. Come on.
I do one thing better than Tom. I was born in New York. We drink a lot of coffee, so that's an unfair advantage, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's sort of unfair. I don't know if there is a Pennsylvania accent. It's even, no contest.
Okay, even
no contest. I will permit it switch tomorrow.
You will not be able to get close. My protection and router and security and multiple security cameras will block your way.
Skynet will hack them.
Would you like to be a farmer? Here's a couple of acres. The cat is looking at me like I've lost my ever-loving mind. Get to the choppers!
Get to the farmer!
To the choppers!
We'll get to the whopper.
I think I'm gonna have to watch Predator tonight or something. You know? To the choppers!
I know, man. They're making yet another Predator movie called The Predator. Believe it or not, it's coming out this summer.
Why?
I enjoyed Alien vs. Predator.
Why? I didn't see that. Like Predator 1, like it. Predator 2, loved it. Once you got on to like the
Predator
next
2
one,
you liked, really?
I did. I actually liked Predator 2.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the
second
last one, like the third one was horrible. That was like that was so bad of a movie. It's like I've watched it once and that was one time too many.
The last good genre, like Alien Predator movie I saw that I liked, I mean, Prometheus, well, that's more Alien, was okay. Alien Covenant was disappointing, but in terms of Alien Predator, the first AVP I thought was good. It was, you know what, I hate to say it, but it had a plausible story, believe it or not. The one called AVP Requiem, stupid title, made no sense. I hated it, but now they're coming back with the Predator. They've been doing rewrites or reshooting to make it better. Look, if it's a good story, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. I mean, I'll go see it. But anyway, that's as far as I go with the Predator. How about Alien versus Terminator? There we go. Predator versus Terminator. That would be a movie.
I think Terminator would win that battle hands down. Honestly.
Probably, since he's more machine than blood. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Still be
didn't
good
Alien beat the Predator? Because I haven't seen any of those.
I
would
in the first AV. I don't remember the second one.
Yeah, I would
no,
figure.
it was the Predator. Oh, I'm gonna spoil it now. The Predator.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would figure the Predator would win because he's superior intelligence. I mean, aliens, alien, but I mean, you know, a vicious creature.
Yeah.
But man, Predator is advanced tech. So I mean, it's my thought, but I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the first AVP is good. If you haven't checked it out, I mean, I bought the DVD. I give it a thumbs up. Yeah.
Good.
So,
yeah, I'll have to check it out.
There you go. Yeah. Because it was plausible. I
Steven,
won't give the story away, but includes the history.
So Steven Anderson says, "I'll be back."
We'll be back next week.
All right. Somebody asked if you're going to be on Big Daddy tonight.
Steven.
Yeah. No.
If I can stay up, starting to get maybe for a little bit, possibly.
Maybe I should join in on Big Daddy.
This was a long month, long week.
Yeah, I actually, I mean,
his shows are pretty good. I'm a little tired, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to do tonight, so. But yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank you for watching this Life in Linux, number 7, if I'm keeping track.
I have no idea. I didn't think we were that high, but. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I did 1 or 2 where you wasn't available, so that's why it's up to them. But anyway, this belongs to the community anyway. It isn't just mine or Tom's. Just to let you guys
whose it is.
But,
yeah, I mean, maybe what we should do is when we record these, we should just download it from the channel and just re-upload it on the other channel too. You know.
I thought about that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I may transcode this into an MP3, but that's fine too. It's kind of like the news and nonsense that we started with. I started with. It really belongs to anybody. It isn't just ours, even though we kind of thought about, But yeah, that's fine too. I may do that, or I may just download the audio and just, put it up on archive.org without getting too redundant.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I believe this is number 7. But this is really designed for people who are more or less newbies, beginners. I mean, really for everybody. But we wanted to let beginners feel welcome, as they always are. You do have a place to say hello here and ask a question, not feel stupid for asking, quote, a stupid question, as it were. And the world runs on Linux. It really does. So there you go. Because it's fantastic.
Right.
All right. I think
that's good.
so we
will catch you guys later.